How do we not get shiny object syndrome? There's so many things. If you want to be successful, you have to put on blinders and focus on what that person says and turn out all the rest of the noise. You can't serve two masters. This is like scriptural, doctrinal, like it's very, very important, but especially so when you're trying to be successful in life, okay? When you decide to follow somebody, to learn from somebody, right? When Luke Skywalker was trying to learn the Force, right? And he goes and he meets Yoda, who's his mentor, right? If you'd have been like, Yoda's like showing him like how to lift up things, and he comes in and Luke's like, well, I was watching this YouTube video and the guy over there said that there's a better way to lift things. Like, what do you think about that? Yoda be like, dude, you hired me to do that. Like, why are you listening to other people? Like, I'm here, like I'm your guide in this path. And the story I told this morning I want to share was this about a year ago. I was at the airport and I remember I was going through and this young guy runs up to me, and it happens at the airport a lot where somebody will come up like, oh, can I get a picture with you, whatever. I'm like, yeah. So this guy runs up, he's an 18-year-old kid. He's like, gets a picture with me. And then he's like, hey, real quick before you go, what would be your number one piece of advice for an 18-year-old right now? And I said, well, tell me about like, what are you trying to do? And he's like, well, I love what you do. Like, I listen to your podcast. I'm on the email list, like funnels, like I'm really excited. I love that. But I also love real estate and following, I can't remember who it was. So real estate guru teaching how to do short sales or flipping or whatever it was. And like, I really like that too. I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, which one of those do you like the most? And he's like, well, I think the one that I like the most is probably real estate. I think that's going to be the easiest for my personality and stuff like that. I was like, cool. So here's my number one piece of advice for you as an 18-year-old. Right now, he's got 1 minute with me. You need to unsubscribe from my list and stop listening to my podcast. He's like, what? But I love your stuff. I'm like, I know, but you can't serve two masters. You can't be doing real estate and doing the Russell stuff at the same time. They're two different things. Like you're gonna be distracted, or I can be focused, and neither of them will get done. I said, you gotta pick one and then put on blinders. I mean, stop listening to everybody else, at least long enough to prove that this is gonna work or not work, okay? Like that's the key. And he was like, wow, that's not the advice that I would have thought, but that's the right advice. And I was like, thank you. And he left. So make this your thing. Put on your blinders, okay? There's a lot of ways you can make money. You can do it in real estate, stock markets, internet, eBay, Amazon. Like there's a million ways to do it. But if you try to do two, you're not gonna be successful. You gotta pick one.
Well, and the beautiful thing about this is that this teaches you the foundations of marketing, right? Like you're gonna learn how to build funnels for people that get them email addresses, that get them money, or that gets them appointments, right? And so you're like, oh, if after you've mastered that skill set, you're like, wait, now I'd like to go do this. You're like, well, great, I know how to build a funnel to do it. Now I want to go sell this. Now I want to become a coach. Great, I know the funnels to do that. That was my path, where I was like, okay, I love funnel building and I have this idea for I want to do this. Well, eventually it came to a point where people were like, how are you building funnels like this? So I was like, oh, maybe I should make a course on swipes, right? And when I was trying to make a course, I knew exactly how to build a funnel and I knew exactly how to do it. And it became a 2-column club funnel. Why? Because I learned the foundations before and I wasn't guessing, So anyway, so I think that's
it's nice to learn these things on somebody else's dime too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're learning with, you get paid to learn other people's businesses and things like that, versus if you're learning all in your own business, like you're a run against the clock. Like how fast can I figure this out before I run out of money? Right. Versus like, hey, I'm gonna get paid to learn this, master skill set, make money along the way. And then it's like, oh, now I want to do this thing. Boom. You already know how to do it. Like you're out of the gates. I have a full-time job. Can I do this on the side? How much of a time commitment do you think this is going to be to start a career like this?
Here's the thing. You get to decide how much or how little you want to play the game. That's what I think is so great. And so again, for me, when I started, I was working full-time. I did it on the side. Stay-at-home mothers. That was like the niche that loved this because they could do it when their kids were napping and they could do it after they went to bed. And so they would just chip away about an hour and a half every day. And it was enough to stay in the game and make their family anywhere from 4 to 5 figures every single month, right? And so depending on how big you want to play. And it's all about your lifestyle. Right now, we just had a new kid, right? And so it's like, I'm working less right now and it didn't break because I'm working less and I'm sleeping less and I have a little baby that needs me, right? So it's like, okay, but the business doesn't die because I'm able to turn down the lever. And then when life kind of settles down and people learn how to sleep again, then it's like, okay,
get back up.
I can play more and play bigger. So so the answer is yes, 100% you can. And you get to choose.
Yeah, I love it. The other thing I would add that I always think about is like, in fact, there's a Gary Vee quote. Gary Vee says, you go to work from 9 to 5 and you work on your side hustle from 5 to 9. Yeah. Right. And I think about this, a lot of people are like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. And the problem with that excuse is if you keep saying that, it'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You'll never have time for it. So instead you're like, okay, for me to be successful in this, I have to block out time, right? So 9 to 5, I'm working from 5 to 9. This is my, or for when I started, it was like 9 to 2. Like that was my window time when the kids were asleep, my wife was asleep, and I had dedicated time. But you block out that time, right? And this is where you dive into this and you're spending time. And what's cool about this is at first it's going to get heavier because now you're spending 9 to 5 doing your job, plus this other window to do this other stuff, and it's really, really heavy. But what's cool about this is you do it for a season. And as soon as this revenue right here, right, from your 9 to 5, or sorry, your 5 to 9, when that revenue gets bigger than this one, then you can leave your job. You leave your job and then it unlocks
the whole day.
9 hours. And now you got unlimited time. But if you're not willing to commit, right? Like Myron Golden calls it the law of advancement. Like for everything in life has to go down before it can come up, right? Like you have to plant a seed for a tree to come up. A bird has to jump out of a nest and go down before it can swing back up and fly, right? In business, like you have to put money, you lose money to go down before it can come back up. I think the same thing here is like for you to get free time, you're gonna have to give up most of your time doing something on the side until you figure it out, and then it's gonna free up all your time. But everything must go down before it comes back up. It's just like a universal principle inside of nature. And so I think when you understand that, it's like, cool, there's a season. You talk to your spouse, your significant other, whatever, say, hey, for the next 3 months or 6 months, I'm gonna be working, I gotta put in 2 hours a night or 3 hours or whatever that's gonna be. It's gonna be a little hard. If you can help support me during that time, I think it'll get a spot where I could then eventually quit the job, and now that time all opens up, and now you can spend 4 hours a day doing it, and you got the other 4 hours that you bought back for whatever you want to do.
And I even have, there's a guy named John, we talked about, he started with a full-time job and he had to leave for work at 6 a.m. So he would start funnel building at 5 a.m. And he was just like, I'm going to pound this out for an hour. I'm going to pound this out for an hour. And he actually, I mean, he's 6-7 years in now. He still has his full-time job. His funnel business makes more than his job. But he just likes them both. He's like, I only have to work 1 hour a day, 1 extra hour a day, a great benefit. You know what I mean? He was like, well, okay. So he literally just has 2 separate sources of income because he likes it. And it took him 1 extra hour a day, you know? So I think that's another amazing thing, again, to learn. It's flexible in terms of what you want to do because you decide how much you take on, and then the more you master it, the more you can play.
Yeah. So cool. So cool. Most influencers are broke. So what do influencers have? Most influencers, by definition of what they are, they have traffic. They have a following. They've got 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 1 million followers, and they're broke. Do you want to know why they're broke? Because they're dumb. They don't know what you guys know. They don't know what a funnel is. I've had so many influencers who are doing something and they find the .com Secrets book and they read it and they message me like, oh my gosh, like I finally understand how to turn all this traffic into money. Okay. So for you guys, you have this unique opportunity. You have a sea of millions of influencers who all have influence, AKA traffic, and they don't know how to turn that into money. You may think, oh, these guys are like they're rich and they're seen. Like they're not rich. I promise you that. Okay, most of them are renting their cars, they're renting their Ferraris, right? They're renting their watches. Like they're not real for the most part. Some of them have some revenue coming in so they can maintain a lifestyle, but they are not running businesses. They don't know how to run businesses. They're influencers. Okay, and so every one of these, like if you start like let me find influencers who are in the baking niche, and you can go in there who's influencers who have a cookbook, influencers who are in the weight loss industry, influencers who are like whatever it is. You come to them like, hey. You got 35,000 followers. You have a lot of people commenting, but I noticed you don't have a funnel. Is there a reason? Like, do you hate money? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, there's this thing called a funnel. And then boom, you got a client who already has traffic, right? And so like, you don't have to go figure out how to buy ads. Like what's interesting for me, like a lot of people don't know is like when we launched ClickFunnels, I didn't buy our very first ad in ClickFunnels for 2 years. But how's that even possible? It's like, because you don't have to have ads to drive traffic. A guy does product launch funnels. So what he would do is he would find people that had book funnels, because he's like, if they have a book funnel, they have an audience, they have a following, they have frameworks. And he's like, hey, you should do a launch funnel. Like, what's a launch funnel? He's like, let me do it for you and I'll take 20% of it. And then he built a launch funnel with that person's content, and that person promotes it to their list. He didn't have to get traffic. He just structured the funnel and got 20% of the revenue.